Yo, this is Lil Aaron, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Congratulations on the new EP that just recently dropped, Rockstar Famous. 7 tracks on this record. You have a couple collaborations on there.
Yeah.
Prior to you releasing your first EP, what was that transition like for you going from a songwriter to being the actual artist?
Well, I feel like I was I was more of an artist first before I even got into songwriting. I didn't even really know that songwriting was like an option or that was like a thing until I came out to LA and I kind of saw some people doing it.
Right.
So I was focusing on that pretty heavily a couple years ago, and then once I kind of felt like I found my sound, I guess,
Right.
that was when I started diving into making glowing pans and really working on my own shit.
Right. And as you started creating more and more, music for yourself, you were still kind of co-writing for other artists as well. So when you were, when it was time to work on Lil Aaron stuff, did you get any influences from the other artists that you ended up writing with?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm influenced by all the artists I'm surrounded with, all the artists I collaborate with. The question I get all the time is how do I tell whether a song is a song for someone else or a song for me? But my sound is so distinct that it's pretty obvious to me when I write a song if it's gonna be my stuff or someone else's stuff. But it's when I start collabing and like with the features I have on the record, where it kind of the line starts to blur on whether it could be their song or my song, and that's kind of where I like collaborating. Is it kind of it turns into its whole own new little each collab song could be its own project if it wanted to be and stuff like that. So.
Now, speaking of the collabs on this project, you have Kim Petras, who you've collaborated before on her stuff as well, and then you have another one that stuck out to me was Kiara.
Yeah.
So tell me about working with these two females for this record, and what was it about them that you wanted to have them on your record?
I mean, Kim and Kiara specifically, I've been working with them for years. Kiara, we've known each other for 3, maybe 4 years now.
Okay.
We've been working together on a lot of stuff, just writing together for a long time. And that was a song we wrote, I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, that kind of was one of those songs that didn't necessarily have a home.
Right.
And we all knew it was a banger, so that was kind of obvious when I was yo, what if I, kind of freak it a little bit and put it on my record.
Right.
And then the Kim song, obviously same shit, we've been working together for a minute, and when the opportunity came around, I was it just makes sense to have her on the record. And I wanted to have a very female heavy feature list, because most of the music I listen to is female artists. I love female artists, so it just made sense.
What is it about that music that sticks out to you? Is it the female vocalist, or just
I just love the empowering boss bitch music type shit.
Okay.
That's just kind of my shit. I don't know.
Right.
It just feels good to listen to.
Now it's interesting. You're talking about Kim. You've known her for some time and been working with her for some time, and she's practically a new artist.
Yeah.
Maybe less than a year that we've actually
definitely
started to hear about her. So, how does working with a brand new artist like that kind of influence you in a way whenever you're creating your music? Because she's barely getting developed now. People are starting to get attention. So people know you as a songwriter, not so much maybe as an artist.
Right.
So it's kind of you're kind of in the same realm as them.
Right. Yeah. Kim's first song that she put out was a song that I co-wrote with her, so I've been able to see kind of from the jump her grow as an artist. So it's been really cool. And I mean the same thing, I would consider myself a new artist. I've been in the game, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm still a new artist. So being kind of having those artists that I'm friends with that we can kind of come up together makes it really makes it a lot of fun, and it's cool to know that you have that support group behind you and everything. So
Right. Now with your music, you do it so perfectly that you blend in so many different genres that don't necessarily go hand in hand.
Right.
We have hip hop, we have pop punk, we have basically everything, top 40 stuff.
Right.
How do you mesh that all together and are able to create the sound that you do?
I think sorry, this guy's all over the place. I think it's more about not thinking about it that makes it perfect. And like, so I kind of go into every song knowing I'm gonna have guitars on it, and know I'm gonna have a trap beat, and then I kind of just leave the rest to like my gut feeling when it comes to the songwriting. So I kind of have that like that pop punk emo sensibility just in my blood. Everything's gonna sound like that. That's just like kind of like my go-to. And then in the past few years, I've been kind of honing in on the pop top 40 sound, and then the rap thing kind of just like that's more of like so I've been listening to the emo shit for like my whole life. Kind of got into the rap thing a couple years ago, and then the pop thing more recently. So it's just kind of like three different skills that I've been like honing, or you know what I'm saying, at a different rate, but they all kind of come together and it just kind of works. Yeah, but I think the main backbone I try to focus on is like having the like big like emo pop punk sensibility, and then having like the trap beats underlying on the songs, and then the rest I kind of just let happen on its own.
Right. Now with the 7 tracks on there's one that sticks out to me sometimes, and you know, personally I feel like it's you're diving into depression in a way, and I feel like that's something that, you know, needs to be talked about as much as possible today. Can you talk a little bit about that, and you know, when you sometimes you feel like shit, like when you feel that way, like how do you cope with it?
You know, there's different ways, and I'm not saying like, you know, I'm the fucking, you know, I don't have like the answers by any means, but different ways, man. Whether it's just hanging out with my friends, whether it's like, I mean, it can be healthy ways and it can be unhealthy ways. Sometimes it's partying, you know what I'm saying? But that song is definitely like one of the most honest songs. Like I love making songs that are like fun and party and, you know, like happy-go-lucky, whatever. But that was definitely a song that was important, because that was a song that I was like just kind of like brutally honest, and kind of like attacked exactly how I felt. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. You know, some days you wake up and you feel like you're the man, and some days you wake up and you just feel like garbage. So
Now when you get vulnerable like that, especially with this track, like, did it come naturally to you to actually open up in the vocal booth? Did you had to like work on it? Like, did you have to get comfortable before? Like,
I mean, I think it wasn't too hard. It's always kind of like, it's more about like, you know, do I trust the other people in the room, you know, type thing, which I did, luckily. But that was definitely, it was definitely risky at the time. You know, anytime that you're vulnerable, it's gonna like you're gonna feel a little out of place, or it's like not your comfort zone. But I mean, I'm happy that was like a song I kind of like let myself fully dive into. Definitely.
now as far as the people in the room, who produced the record with you? Is that something you did all on your own?
I was working on that song with this dude, Ryan OG, who's like a producer that worked on a lot of the EP. He's really dope. He was in the room, and then I think, if I can remember correctly, it was like over a year ago that we did that song. I think Nick Bailey was in the room too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nick Bailey sounds familiar.
Yeah, Nick and Ryan, they kind of like, they do a lot of stuff together. They're like a little duo. They're fire.
Right. Now you have so many friends in the industry, man, but I want to dive in on someone in particular. Talk to me about Plug-in Stereo.
Oh, damn.
Let's talk a little bit about Trevor. I met Trevor maybe 10, 11 years ago when Plug-in Stereo was doing like constant tours.
Yeah, that's when I met him too. We were like MySpace homies. You know what's crazy is when I was just in Vegas, Cheat Codes had a little thing, and we went out and kicked it with them all night. Like, yeah, Trevor is one of the like OG homies. That's crazy that you brought that up. We met during the MySpace days, because I was kind of doing that emo acoustic shit too.
Did you have another name at the time?
I went by at that time. That is insane. Yeah. So we were just MySpace homies, and then he kind of blew up, and we kept in touch. And when he would tour, every time he like came through my area, I would go see him and hang out with him. And just over the years, we just kept in touch. It's crazy.
You guys you've been writing with them for Cheat Codes as well, right?
Yeah. I've worked with them for Cheat Codes. So what's crazy is it's like me, Trevor, and Ari Lauv. We were all kind of like MySpace homies, and we're like the ones that like kind of made it. I mean, they're killing it crazy. I'm still working on it, but it's funny that like we all kind of came from that scene and like made it work in the real world.
I didn't even know Lauv was like around that time. Like
Yeah,
I
he was
I thought he
super
was just
active.
someone that just like popped up recently.
Yeah, he was super active back then, which is funny.
That's
Super
crazy.
cool. Yeah.
That's great. Next, I was just with him a couple weeks ago, so next time I'm gonna have to ask him about you.
Ask him about.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
I'm spilling some tea.
you definitely are, man. Now, last week you got to go to Vegas to perform with
Yeah.
Blink for the residency shows. What was that like for you? That was a bigger stage for you compared to what was your last performance? Was it?
Emo night probably.
Okay, so how do you change up your set whenever you go from a smaller stage to something more of an arena?
Man, I try to keep it the same and like treat every stage like it's the arena. That's like my whole thing is like if I'm playing in front of 10 people, if I'm playing in front of 10,000 people, I want to give the same, big performance. So, it's definitely a stage like that, and like the pressure of opening for Blink is definitely. I'm not gonna act like, oh, it's no sweaters popped out there. It's definitely nerve-wracking, but yeah, I try to just kind of treat it all the same and run the same thing and just like treat every performance like it's like the biggest deal, even though that actually was the biggest deal. Like even my smaller shows, I try to like keep that same energy and that same like anticipation and just it's like a little bit of that anxiety that comes before the show, like 30 minutes before, that like makes me know that I still care about it, Yeah.
Right. I think that's the best feeling, like
Yeah.
whether it's a show or anything else that you're passionate about.
Definitely that like when you are worried about like making it perfect, that's how you know that you care about it.
Right. So Rockstar Famous is out now. What are the plans for like tours or shows? Like, do you have anything coming up? Are you gonna surprise people on Warped Tour? Maybe the last leg of the Warped Tour.
Yeah, I'm doing Pomona. I'm playing Pomona on Warped. So that's like in a week, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. I'm looking at a couple tours now. We'll figure something out. I'll be on the road soon, very soon. Yeah.